I'ma keep it a bean. Stick to the script every scene. These from last year, but they clean. Say to say I'ma take something else, but it's winning team. Charlie Sheen, fam gang the regime. I'm from Potty Green.
What's good, I'm Shellitronnn, but you can call me Coach, and I'm back at it again with a brand new video, and I'm gonna keep it a Bowberry biscuit. I feel like the intro to that J. Cole Dreamville album, I done seen it all, I swear. I done seen it all, oh my God. I'm telling you right now, this tweet that I just saw from Tom Pelissero makes it official. There is not a single new thing under the sun. Pull the tweet right here. I'm gonna read it verbatim, word for word, very slowly, so you understand what I saw and what's going on with this organization. The hashtag Panthers cut QB Taylor Heinicke for playing too good, source said. That's the tweet. Let me reread it for you one time. I think I might have misread it. Hold up. The hashtag Panthers. Okay, everything's good there. It's Panthers news. Cut. 3 words into this tweet, we understand everything's straight. It's the day after the 4th preseason game. Someone has to get cut. QB. Okay, there's 4 QBs on the roster. You can only keep 3. Some teams will only keep 2, but we know we're going to keep 3 quarterbacks. That's been reported for a long time now. We're all cool. Taylor Heinicke, full stop. Hold up. Taylor Heinicke, the one quarterback who's looked good this whole preseason. Now, we can't count Cam. Cam only threw 6 passes, came out the game real quick. We all know it wasn't about competing for the starting role. All right. Taylor Heinicke, for you stat heads out here, before I get into the context, I'll give out the stats right here. Put it up for me right here. Let's start with Kyle Allen. 18 for 34, 52.9% completion rate, 165 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions, 66.4 passer rating, and he took 4 sacks. Let's go to Will Grier. 34 for 61, 55.7% completion rate, 385 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 7 sacks, 65.3 passer rating. Taylor Heinicke, 19 for 31, 61.3% completion rate, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, 99.1 passer rating, and took, what, 3 sacks? And that's just the raw stats for you stat heads, for you stat beasts out there. But let's get into the context here, because I know the first comment I'm going to see is, hey, well, look, you know Taylor Heinicke was playing against 3s and 4s. It's not really about the competition. Okay, that's a really good point. But then my question to you would be, wasn't Kyle Allen getting in the game first? So wasn't he playing with the 1s in some of these games? I feel like, wasn't Kyle Allen playing with the 1s, and wasn't he playing long enough to be playing against some of the 2s, even some of the 3s, while he was still in the game? And for a fact, I know that Will Grier played with some of the 1s against some of the other guys' 2s and 3s. So why doesn't Kyle Allen have a single touchdown? Why is he completing only 52.9% of his passes? Now we know the offense is vanilla, the defense is vanilla, but when our whole offensive scheme is predicated around looking at their running back first, and then looking at slants, maybe some out routes, some comebacks from our faster receivers, I don't think it's all that like against the pale, against the grain to think that we can get someone to throw better than 52.9% in the preseason with 34 attempts. And then Will Grier, look, we know that Will Grier is a rookie. He's a guy who was always going to be a project. I feel like people after the draft were thinking that Will Grier was already a complete quarterback, just based off of his name, him getting the 4th most votes in the Heisman race last year. But if you actually watch West Virginia, or like after the actual season was over, watch some of his games, read some of the write-ups on him, saw what was being talked about him in the draft write-ups, the analysis on him, he was always going to be a project. The West Virginia scheme, that offense, was built around him to succeed, where guys were schemed open and he had only 1 or 2 reads. He read only half the field for the most part. And we saw that a lot in these games. Talking about context here, when Will Grier got in these games, I noticed 2 really big things about him. One, he locks on to his first read, and he locks on hard. He locks on very hard, and when he has to read more than 1 player, maybe more than 2, if he has to go to his 3rd look, he will take a sack. It's just kind of slow, and he's not fast enough to make a decision to either find his next read or throw the ball away, and that happened a lot. And number 2, when there's any kind of pressure, he gets kind of skittish. He gets kind of nervous back there. And look, like I said before, he's a rookie, so I understand that comes with time, but we have to understand that Will Grier, look, he did not look good at all this preseason. Now, he got a couple of touchdowns, and he had a couple of long receptions there, but for the most part, it was not very, look, it's not about stats, it's not about the numbers you see, but if you're actually watching these guys, not watching the play, but watching these guys play, watch how they go through the progressions, how many they go through, how they look in the pocket, and when they're scrambling out, are their eyes staying upfield, and how often are they trying to do way too much and then holding the ball for too long, and not just throwing the ball away, or putting the ball in harm's way and getting picks. And while Kyle does look poised in the pocket, he does look good back there. He's not scared, he's not skittish. He's just not making any plays, honestly. Keep it real with you, I did not see anything from Kyle Allen that made me say, okay, I'm actually impressed with this. I see something here that makes me say this is a really viable backup quarterback with some consistency that I can depend on him winning us a game. If Cam goes down, something happens, I can see Kyle Allen winning us a game. Look, we have a really talented defense, and we have a lot of skill guys around the quarterback. Christian McCaffrey, DJ Curtis, we have Jarius Wright, Torrey, we got Chris Hogan, Ian Thomas, Greg Olsen, and really both those guys are kind of question marks for me right now because we didn't really see Ian Thomas in the passing game that much. This preseason, he was kind of hurt for a little bit, and he only caught one pass for 16 yards. He was in there, but he was mostly blocking, so I don't know about that. And then we know about Greg last 2 years, the foot injury. I don't know if he can go 16 this year. But the point is there's a lot of talent on the roster, but I'm not sure if just having a game manager quarterback is going to be enough to get the job done. I did not see anything that was really like outwardly impressive about Kyle Allen's play all preseason. But when we saw Taylor Heinicke, there were highlight plays. When we saw Taylor Heinicke, he looked poised back there. He made reads, multiple reads. He could scramble out the pocket. He could run and get some yards. I gotta admit, Kyle has some mobility to him. But anyone watching these games, anyone actually watching the quarterbacks, not just watching the plays, not just looking at the stats, would see that Taylor Heinicke was obviously the best backup quarterback on the roster. And this goes back even before the preseason. If you remember, there was a presser where Coach Rivera said, every single backup quarterback on the roster will get an equal shot. And he wants it to be a fair competition to who makes the team, who's QB2 this offseason. And that was, I mean, there's no other way of putting it. No other way of putting it. It was a flat out lie. And the proof is everywhere. Look at how often Taylor Heinicke's name ever got brought up in the post-practice write-ups and the reviews after guys had a training camp. How many times do you see us talk about Kyle Allen, Will Grier, our 8th and 9th receiver, our 5th and 6th running back? We were talking about all these dudes, our 4th tight end. We had guys getting a lot of attention in those write-ups, but there was never any mention of Taylor Heinicke. And you could say, well, maybe he's having a bad camp. Maybe they just didn't want to talk about him because it was all bad things. And you might be thinking, well, maybe they didn't write about him because it was all bad stuff they saw in practice. That's not it either, because reporters and the actual people in the Panthers writing staff were talking about some overthrows, some bad reads, some picks that Will Grier and Kyle Allen threw at training camp. It wasn't that Taylor Heinicke was getting a lot of reps or even equal reps and he was doing poorly. He wasn't really getting any reps at all during training camp, and that's confirmed from a couple reports that we've seen from the writers for the Panthers. Look, this was decided before training camp. This was decided before the preseason. There was never a chance for Taylor Heinicke to make this team. And I've heard it all. I've heard people telling me, well, hey, you saw what happened. Taylor got into the Falcons game. That's a loss. Kyle Allen got into the Saints game, and that's a win. But my response to that is, that's probably the weirdest, that makes no sense to me. Are you telling me the backup quarterback position is not a position that's always constantly a competition? You're telling me the coaching staff decided who was going to be the backup quarterback for 2019? 9 months ago, the last time we saw these guys in December? You're telling me one game from week 17 against a team that already clinched the playoffs was enough to tell the coaching staff, this is the guy right here. This is the guy right here. There is no competition. But then why would Coach Rivera say there was a competition for all the backup quarterbacks? Why would he say that? So either I'm lying or someone else is lying, or maybe a week 17 win that's 9 months old has more impact on what the coaches are seeing in these preseason games. That could be it. I could be wrong. I'm not an NFL coach, or I don't get paid tens, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars to make these kind of analysis on players. All I can tell you is what I see on the TV screen, and what I've seen is a guy who far outplayed the other two guys in front of him, even without getting as many reps, nearly as many reps, or any kind of media attention at all. It's probably like 5–10% of what these guys were getting. And this isn't just me reading these things up. I actually went to training camp this year. I was in Spartanburg, and I saw Taylor Heinicke barely get any passes at practice. I want anyone to ask any reporter if I'm wrong about anything I just said. And then ask yourself, has Kyle Allen or Will Grier really been that much better than Taylor Heinicke? Or have they been better than him at all? If you talk to me about age and whatnot, Kyle Allen is 23. I think Taylor Heinicke is 26. But both these guys are in the last year of their deal. Are we really talking about ceiling and years to come when it comes to our quarterback 3? Like, we already know that Will Grier is the next guy up after this season, probably. Taylor Heinicke and Kyle Allen can both be picked up after this season for almost no money at all. I promise you, it is not about their age or about their ceiling. And when you want a backup quarterback, you're not trying to look at who's going to have a better ceiling in 3 to 4 years. You're looking at who's the better quarterback right now. If the game's on the line and your starter goes out, who do you trust the most? And do you trust Kyle Allen over Taylor Heinicke based on what you see? Based on the reads, based on how these guys have been playing, I don't know, man. And for this to be the first cut that happens, the first cut that comes out into the media and the news, this was already decided months ago. I've been saying this for months now, and I've also been saying that Taylor will be the best quarterback this preseason, and he has been. But I've said this enough in multiple videos, so I'll leave it at that, man. What are your thoughts on Taylor Heinicke getting cut? Big deal, no big deal at all? Are you surprised? Who was the best backup this preseason? You let me know and tell me why. Don't just say it to me. Tell me who has been the best and why. Let me know all your thoughts in the comments below. And you already know to do with that like button.
Cheers to you, appreciate the chance. Been told y'all I been the man. Been told y'all I had the gift. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Real ones gonna recommend. Count this as another win.